It's hard to say what you need to be doing this sort of job, because I think all the people I've met whilst doing it are really different. You know, the people come from very different angles. I mean, I think I worry a lot, so I come from it from a worrying angle. But perhaps I need to do that to keep it moving. And always worrying that, you know, I don't want to look as though I've stopped and I'm just making the same work year after year. I need to prove to myself that I'm not stale, that no one can be saying that about me, because I know that I'm keeping on moving. So I think everyone's slightly different. You know, there's some people who are very confident and they just know that they're going to be okay and find the next thing to make or whatever, and it comes very naturally. But I think it's more of a fight to get it out. But I don't know, maybe that's okay, because it does come eventually. It's just harder work for me, I think. So once it's pickled, I can take the front down on my scoop to make a nice flat surface for the writing. So it's just a case of some more sanding, really. Sanding. Being a full-time maker, again, it's a full-time job. It's like, people always say when you say, oh, I'm a jewel and silversmith, they say, that's fantastic, how lucky you must be, you get to do something you love every single day. Well, some days you do love it, and other days you're just making work because you have a deadline. And so, like any job, it's a job sometimes. But I think, you know, it's the joy is that you're so involved in it and it's so part of you that you keep on working at it. But that can be hard too, because it takes over the rest of your life too. So after I've sanded the front down, I then need to think about the writing, which I do with a washable pen just to give me a guide before I drill and then cut the writing in the utensil, which is always a slightly stressful job. So I tend to do it when I haven't had too many cups of coffee. So the next job is to do the writing and drill my hole. Today's is a tea scoop. My start point. I now have to get the tea scoop onto my sawing frame by undoing the thin blade on it. So it's kind of come from function, but then perhaps the things that the function meant I had to do to the metal then became patterning and texture and so on that I then used. So the jewellery that I started off with was probably very, very simple shapes that were quite like a functional thing, with a nice texture, or using the perforations that I was using in my utensils to make decorative wearable work. So in a way the function was important too, because they were pieces that you had to wear, but it was using that sort of visual language to make jewellery, which was partly to do with what I wanted to wear. I wanted simple things that weren't going to get in the way of working or being on the phone, or when I wear glasses, so they too are something visual going on, so I didn't want something enormous on my ears to clutter everything up. So I guess in a way I sort of started from a selfish point of view, as I wanted something to wear that I'd made, but I found other people who wanted work like that too, so that was good. Glad that's finished. So the last job is sanding that back on both sides and neatening up the edges, really. but the stressful bit is finished. I think the best part is when you meet someone who has bought your work, perhaps when you weren't there, or was given a piece of your work, and they love it. I think that's probably the thing that I have to sort of keep trying to keep in my head on the days when I'm thinking, why am I doing this? It's really hard work. It's kind of, in a way, quite sort of soul-wrenching sometimes when it's not going well, or you think you've dried up and there isn't any ideas left in your head. So the good days are when people absolutely love it, and the bad days are when you are struggling to find inspiration.